Councillor Calandino.
Just briefly, Mr. Honatiuk, looking at your video, I noticed that I think it's at Carlton that you had the camera focused on Albert.
No, Madison and Albert, sorry.
Was Madison, sorry. Yes. It seemed to me that many of you have 4 stops on that corner, I believe.
That's correct.
Right, 4 stop signs. It seemed to me that the cars that were going east, the majority of them were not even stopping because
That's very true.
They know there are 4 stop signs, and so they're a little more secure. And you raised the issue of the traffic circle on Rosser, which is not being effective. Well, Vancouver has placed a lot of those traffic circles in the east side and some on the west side as well. And I drive in this side a lot, and I find that slows me down to have those traffic circles. Stop sign, of course, would slow me down too, but it does keep traffic moving as well. But when you have 4 stop signs on a corner and people tend to ignore, I'm wondering what is the purpose of having stop signs. The traffic circles do the same purpose, and I think people do know that they can really go at a fast speed when they're approaching the circles, and they do slow down. So, and if you want to comment on that, you may. And the other thing that I would like you to comment on, you mentioned the Gateway project that's going to impact the north of Burnaby and many other areas as well. And we've been debating this on council for the last year and a half. What would your opinion, how would that affect, and how much would that affect Albert Street and the north?
Well, I think it's all hypothetical. We can surmise all we want about what the impact's going to be. We're going to open the floodgates, essentially. I'm certainly not in a position to gauge is it going to be double, triple, or quadruple.
But you expect, expect to be an increase of traffic there?
Definitely. If you suddenly enable those bridges and open them up, the traffic is going to flow. And the next bottleneck is the border of Vancouver.
But that's what we've been talking about.
And clearly, if they're coming down Hastings, and Hastings is already plugged, where are they going to go? On our street, and on Oxford, and along Empire onto Cambridge, and onto Penzance, and onto Oxford, and onto Wellington up to Oxford.
And you also mentioned the HOV lane.
Yes.
And if we were to take away the HOV lane, what would that do to Albert Street?
Well, that's part of the reason why we wanted to come in front of council tonight, because when we saw the coverage in the media, it wasn't clear on what actually the Heights Merchants Association was proposing. And after discussions, it appears that the objective is to open up that lane to all traffic and not simply limit it to HOV vehicles. And we currently experience something that we call the 9 o'clock dash on Albert Street, which starts at 8:30 and ends at 9:30. Coincidentally, 8:30 is the time when that HOV lane becomes a parking lane. So, from our assessment, what is likely to happen, should that HOV lane be turned and opened up to full traffic, I think it would be to our advantage. You're going to have an extra lane on Hastings carrying more traffic, which is what we're suggesting happen here. Move from keep traffic moving at all times to keep traffic moving at all times on the major arteries and keep them off the side streets. So we think that would be an advantage. Secondly, what happens now with the HOV lane, because it's not as heavily utilized as the other 2 lanes, as was mentioned earlier, there's the green wave. But as soon as a red light happens, the 2 lanes are stopped, the HOV lane is empty, so traffic will move into the HOV lane, turn right, turn left onto Albert, and scoot. So if that lane is also stopped at a red light, a lot of those vehicles will not be able to turn right and then left onto Albert. So traffic appears to stay on Hastings as long as it's moving. When that red light happens, zoom into the HOV lane, hook onto Albert, and go.
Of course, the merchants are not in favor of making the HOV lane a full traffic lane.
Well, we're meeting with them tomorrow, and my preliminary discussions, I think, with Isabel said that they recognize that they're not going to get a parking lane back, but it would be preferable to have a full lane of traffic there than occasional vehicles speeding. That was my understanding in talking with her.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
A motion, Councillor Balco, to send the So moved.
And should it go to both traffic safety and transportation, or to transportation?
You can go to both, yeah. Might as well cover all of this.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.